Welcome to Weekly General Aviation News Update. We have 3 stories for you this week. The Boom Supersonic gets permission to test fly. We have the Mig Airshow Crash Prelim is out. And then lastly, the FAA is probing 5,000 pilots who may have withheld information from their medical application. So let's get to it. All right, first up this week is Boom Supersonic, who has been doing some high-speed taxiing using their XB-1 Demonstrator. We talked about this aircraft in the past. It's 71 feet long, and then it's primarily composed of carbon composite and titanium, and it's powered by 3 GE J85 with a total of 12,300 pounds of thrust. Yeah, that's quite a bit. So far, what we've seen is only taxi tests getting as high as 60 miles an hour on the runway, but the XB-1 just got FAA approval for doing a test flight. So we'll keep you posted when we hear more from Boom. All right, next up is the FAA prelim report from the MiG-23 crash in Michigan that happened a couple weeks ago. If you remember, the 2 pilot and the observer ejected from the aircraft, and then it came crashing, thankfully not hurting anyone. Both of them survived as well, so no fatalities in this case. But according to the report, the show called for doing 3 passes across the runway, and then after the first pass, which was a knife-edge pass, the pilot reported that he began to bank and then noticed that the afterburner did not ignite. He moved the wing to the forward position. You can change the wing position. And then he began to troubleshoot. The pilot was actively troubleshooting when the rear seat observer stated that they needed to eject. Now, the pilot stated that he was not ready to eject just yet, and he was still troubleshooting and then maneuvering towards going to runway 27 at Yip. And at that time, his ejection seat went off. The pilot also stated that if either the occupant or the front passenger or the pilot pull the ejection seat, then both of the seats are going to eject. The seat observer agreed that with the timeline of the event, up to stating that they needed to eject. He also said that they determined that they didn't have sufficient altitude to make it to the runway. He said that they were compressed for time and needed to get out. Now, when they were asked by the NTSB, that's the observer in the back, when they were asked by the NTSB if he'd pull the ejection handle, he said that he couldn't remember, but thinks that he would have pulled them. I think that's a really interesting statement by the observer. I'm not sure how you can not remember doing something like that, but we're just glad that both of them have no injuries on the ground at this stage and that they were able to make it out. I'm sure there will be a full review by the NTSB probably in a year or so. All right, lastly, the FAA is investigating up to 5,000 pilots who may have falsified medical records, which is, if you don't know about this, a big deal to the eyes of the FAA. The pilots that the FAA is investigating are primarily military veterans who told the FAA that they were healthy and safe to fly, but declined to disclose that they were also receiving veteran benefits for disabilities that would prevent them from flying. The FAA spokesman, Matthew Lenner, he said that they were probing around 4,800 pilots who may have submitted false or incorrect information as part of their medical application. The spokesman also said that 60 pilots who posed a clear danger to aviation safety, that's a quote, were barred immediately from the cockpit. Of the 4,800, nearly 600 have an ATP certificate, with many of them having commercial pilot certificates. So we'll keep you updated when we hear more about this, but that's kind of a big story. All right, and that's it. That's all we have for you this week. We will be out next week at a trade show for drones in Las Vegas, but we will likely be recording from there and then posting all of this on Saturday. So see you next week. Actually, I think I want to do news update on that Friday.